morning, hockey family. It is April 7th, 2025. A lot to get in news, but we got to start off with Ovi passing Wayne Gretzky, 895 goals.
That's so many goals. I remember many years ago just being at training camp with Ovi, and to think he's still playing hockey, not just playing hockey, but like 40 goal seasons.
Yeah,
at his age in the National Hockey League is just incredible. So, congrats to Ovi. That one's gonna stick for a while.
Yeah, long time. I think it was 14 40-goal seasons.
Man,
just incredible.
Just incredible.
So next on our list, we built an educational webinar on NHL Deferred Compensation Contracts, and that button will be right below the video you're watching.
Yeah, and just kind of a follow-up to, hopefully some of you are receiving the newsletter that I wrote on NHL deferred compensation. But yeah, just there's a reason more of those contracts, we've seen some of those in the last year. And we know that some guys don't like to read.
Yeah.
Right. And so figure, hey, right, like we better make an educational webinar as well that you can just watch. So I think it's a little less than a half hour. Yeah. Like Nick mentioned, should be a little button below wherever you're watching this, whether it's email or wherever else Strax posts it. I'm not really sure, but let us know if you have questions on that. We hope you find it helpful.
Yeah. You and Strax did a great job putting that together and finalizing that. In other news, an eventful few days in the market last week also.
Yeah, so we finally got the tariff clarity that we were waiting for. I'm sure many of you might have seen President Trump kind of hold up his little board like this, and so like on the left side of the board it showed the many trade partners of the United States, and then kind of on there kind of the implied tariff rate, right? Because it's not completely tariffs, because there's currency manipulation and trade barriers, which the latter there are kind of difficult to quantify. So definitely some subjective pieces on the left column, but then on the far right column is most importantly these are the tariffs that the U.S. Plans to charge the many trade partners around the globe. And bottom line, like that right column, those numbers were just higher than the market was expecting, right? So they were announced last Wednesday after the close. So we had 2 trading days, Thursday and Friday. You could just see kind of the uncertainty, many market participants trying to like price in what this means. And in terms of tariffs, right? Like, and both sides of the political aisle are aligned on this. Like in the short term, it's a hit on profitability. So
yeah, and we see that with some of our clients in the office here, some small business owners sharing some of their concerns, the short-term profit outlook.
Yeah. And it's because like the political debate goes on like after that short-term, right? So some feel what President Trump is doing in terms of a longer-term strategy would be good. Like one side of the political aisle obviously doesn't feel that way, but they are aligned. Like in the short term, it's a hit on profitability. And like Schilkey just mentioned, and we hear this firsthand from like some business owners that are done playing hockey, and some of them do business internationally, and so what we've been hearing from them, it's kind of like they're in limbo, right? So what they say, it's like, gosh, like we have this supply chain set up internationally, so whether they're having certain things made in India or China, whatever it might be, and then you get these new figures. And it's like, okay, so now I know like these new costs, our business is going to have to eat in some way or another. So do we invest in new countries, right? To like build out a brand new supply chain, or you can imagine on the corporate level how hard this is, right? Like, are we now going to invest in like a brand new, manufacturing plant? Like in the United States, where that might take 5 to 10 years to build out, right? Exactly. So it's like it should come as no surprise. Like when those tariff figures came in higher than expected on Wednesday, like the market's repricing that short-term profitability, which is why you saw some short-term declines here in particularly the U.S., right? So like the Nasdaq was down almost 10% last week alone. That brings that number to now down like 20% year to date. We've been harping on the importance of international diversification for a while. Like some international markets, again, last week held up a little better than here in the States. Fixed income did well, but short-term profitability definitely a concern.
Yeah, and it's why whether you're still playing, whether you're retired from playing, it's just so important to have a plan.
Yeah,
and in our office, especially for the retirees pulling from investments, we have 7 years of income, and we know that safe withdrawal number, and we can plan ahead for those 7 years when times like this kind of do happen.
Yeah, and that's obviously at our office we take a pretty conservative approach. For a lot of guys, you're just kind of bridging that gap until the pension starts, right? And so we keep, like you said, as the guy gets closer to the end of his playing career, we try to build up like a 7 years. We call it the war chest, just kind of cash and bonds, like for that exact reason.
Yeah, and if you are still playing, this can be an opportunity to definitely continue to contribute if you can, 401ks, backdoor Roth IRAs, and maybe potentially bump up those contributions if possible. Just, not time in markets, but just the ability to potentially get some of these equities at lower valuations now.
Yeah, and it's so counterintuitive the way like our minds work, or like our human brain. But it's, as a young guy, like if you're still playing and like the market's pricing in lower profitability for a time, like keep in mind, like the same dollar amount, right? You get more shares, right? And so, long term, it can be just a really powerful savings. So so exactly like Schilk said, like if you're not already maxing out, the NHL 401k or the AHL 401k, backdoor Roths, maybe you fund the 2025 a little earlier than you usually would. Then if you're checking those boxes, then non-qualified, maybe you're increasing those contributions for some time. So
it can be a good opportunity, and long term can make a huge difference.
Yeah, absolutely. So kind of outside of the tariffs, which obviously dominated headlines. Usually, like the jobs number here in the U.S. is kind of a big deal. I feel like nobody's talking about it, but the March employment report was a little better than expected. 228,000 new jobs, which again that was a good number. Importantly, like the Doge-related U.S. layoffs aren't supposed to hit the employment reports until next month's number. So like a month from now, that'll be a little more interesting. Lastly, in the week ahead here, we receive inflation figures. So both consumer price index and the producer price index here in the U.S. So just looking at what inflation looks like for the month of March. So a lot to kind of digest, keep things fresh and exciting in our office.
Yeah, right? No, it's great. A little bit of a longer video, but a lot to get to.
Yeah, definitely. So questions, comments, concerns, please don't hesitate to reach out to our hockey family. And we hope everyone has a great week. Thanks.